How would one go about crafting their vision in terms of what it is that they actually want?
Right. So you really get to, it's like a grander version of a vision board, right? And so it's really understanding, like, taking away the details of, well, where should I go and what do I want to experience, right? And it's back to, are you the adventurous type? I want to be able to go through forests and rainforests. All the things that you think that you want to experience because you go on vacation to those places, what if you can just do them every weekend, right? Mm-hmm. And thinking about it from that perspective, what if you didn't have to cram 7 activities into 5 days overseas in Jamaica? What else do you want to do? You know, and that's where it starts. I want to experience these things all the time, and I want them to be at arm's reach. So it's back to, like, just activities, environment, and all those different pieces that you think are going to be your ideal lifestyle.
Right. No, I love that. It makes me think about, going back to the 4-hour work week, what Tim Ferriss talks about in terms of writing down what you want to have, what you want to do and what you want to be, right? So, like, I want to have a nice house, or I want to have a house on the beach, or I want to have a jet ski, or whatever it might be. And that's usually the lowest level of things in terms of, like, life experiences. But then he talks about, what you want to do. Like, I want to climb, Mount Everest, or I want to, I want to go to the Amazon or whatever. So just writing down those do things, and then also, writing down the things that you want to be. So I want to be an excellent salsa dancer. I want to be fluent in Spanish. And, like, if you look at those 3 different types of categories, I think a lot of times, your chosen path for you or your family, starts to become more and more clear. What do you think about that?
That's actually perfect, right? It's like ways of, like, when I think about be, do, have, I think about, like, ways of being. So experiences are also, I also want to live in a joyful state. I also want to experience laughter and love. One of the things that I often say is, what other countries have over us, which is why it feels you're so drawn to travel. And I'm sure not everyone realizes this. It's that there's not a lot of ego in our day to day. And, I'll never forget living in France. I remember it really helped me understand the value, like, what it really meant for quality time. It was no longer about, you know what, I'll spend time with this person because this is their title. It was just, this is a great conversation. I value you as a person. This was an awesome interaction. And it was very sincere. And those types of experiences I found I didn't have as naturally in the US, right? In big cities, it's all about what your job title is, what you drive, how much money you have, and then, of course, who you know. Now, in other places in the world, not to say that's not important, but that's like a bonus. Oh, that person happens to be a hot shot. That person happens to have a whole bunch of money, but it's not that person is this, it's not, I'm talking to you because of your last name. And it's not because of, like, what you bring to the table from a surface level. And so I think, thinking about it from that Tim Ferriss perspective, you really get to see the layers, right? So yeah, the jet ski isn't about the jet ski. It's about, wow, I am having a lot of fun going really fast on the water. And if you're anything like me, you love the water. So let me take it one level beyond just swimming. I'm on a jet ski. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, you're talking about, I guess, it's, when you die, not to be morbid, but, when you die, I guess, what are you going to think about? What you owned? Wow, that house was really nice. Or are you going to think about just experiences with your family and your friends and just the things that you may have accomplished in your life too? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And I think a lot of people, they are afraid, or they just don't want to, explore this new path, or this path that they just didn't maybe know they didn't know was available to them, or what. So what's keeping people, from your experience, from taking that leap of faith, of becoming global citizens, in the world?
Absolutely. I think the number one thing keeping them, it's 2 things. It feels overwhelming So it's like, it's a great idea, then it becomes a fleeting thought. And then a lot of people are riddled with guilt and shame before even doing it, right? So I call it, a lot of folks have not tapped into their honest courage, which is doing what's best for you and releasing like the shoulds, which is, I should have a corporate job and climb the corporate ladder. I should raise my kids in a big city or the suburbs of a big city. And then of course there's the shame. How dare you do something else and start over when you work so hard to get to law school, med school, master's degree. And I think the combination of those two things, it's like, this is already an overwhelming process. There's not a clear-cut path. So never mind. And in addition to that, man, I'd have to face all these things and all these people and all of this like external, like I'm already facing internal doubt. So I'd also have to face all this external pushback and resistance and backlash. I've had clients and colleagues and peers, and we all are on the same page about like shifting and sharing stories. And one person said, she's right now in Argentina. And she said, when she was thinking about moving permanently, she spent a few months there. Her family was like, but you're going to miss your nieces and nephew growing up. And she was like, right. But it's the same thing as if I moved from New York to LA. It's the same thing. Like moving from a US city to Argentina is the same thing as moving from LA to DC or whatever that 6 hours is. And of course, yes, I'm kind of simplifying it because like you don't have oceans in between, but that 6 hours is 6 hours, right?
Right. And it's not like, there's ways now to where you don't have to deal with, TSA or customs when you come back into the country, as much either, right? So.
Right. And so, whatever that 6 hours is, and, you might end up in Australia, you might end up in Europe, but going from New York to Paris versus New York to LA, it's like, let's not miss out on opportunities of how we really want to live our lives. Because at the end of the day, like you said, yeah, you owned this big house. You're not really going to remember the house. You're going to remember the amazing experiences you had in that house. So I really advocate for whatever those experiences you want to have in other places. And here's the secret. Those experiences are actually the little things, right? People think it's like, I moved to Colombia and then I had dinner with the prince. And if that happens, that's amazing. But it's really the fact that I walked on the beach every night with my wife, and that was our like daily bonding time. It's the fact that like you understood, like you can walk down the street and get your favorite mango and other desserts. Like for me, my favorite part about, I lived in Thailand, and my favorite part were the night markets, which were the equivalent of almost like you can get souvenirs, but then there's also like the equivalent of what we would call like food trucks. And a lot of people just go there and eat dinner and hang out and walk around. So for me, the little things are the big things. And I just am a fan and advocate of, you don't have to limit that to it being the little things in your house, in, the white picket fence American dream, right? I think the new American dream, especially for millennials, is I want to quit my job and travel the world. And so go for it. It doesn't have to look like that. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. I am telling you to follow whatever that like curiosity is inside of you. And Mark Cuban says it all the time. Don't follow your passion, follow your curiosity. That's how I got to create this business, following my curiosity.
Gotcha. I love that. So don't follow your passion, follow your curiosity.